welcome. I'm Evan Jacover. I'm the CTO of Jackbox Games. I'm really excited that our friends at AWS have invited me to come here and talk to you about what we're doing with streaming to create some new opportunities for our business. I think this is listed as a programming talk. I'm not going to be talking about programming that much. Happy to afterwards. But this is mostly about how we're trying to start a new business at our company and the journey we've been on over the last couple years to do that. So a little bit of background first. Maybe I could start by just asking who's heard of Jackbox Games here. Okay, good. Lots of people. I'll go through this quickly then. We make party games, the games that get you laughing with your friends. We're best known for games like Quiplash, Fibbage, and Trivia Murder Party. And for over a decade, we've been releasing a pack of 5 games each year in the Jackbox Party Pack franchise. Here's some of them, not counting Party Pack 10, which I guess I left off. If you do the math, that means we have a pretty big catalog with over 50 games. They all have awesome icons, which makes it great for what we're doing now. They're also fun games, I hope. And so that kind of leads to the question of why I'm here to talk today. I'm here to talk about why we want to take all those games and stream them from the cloud. So let's dig into the why. There are several reasons why we at Jackbox Games are interested in pursuing game streaming to grow our business. I'll talk about a few of them. Let's see what we got. We got new platforms, monetization, always fun, and new features. So I'm going to kind of tackle all of those in order. So let's jump right in with new platforms, which is probably the biggest and most exciting for us. If you were here yesterday, I talked about some of this stuff, but I'm going to go into a bit more depth here today. We love new platforms. One of our big strategies as a company has been to reach as many people as possible by putting our games on as many platforms as possible. I think we're on 12 platforms right now. And a big reason is that our user base isn't necessarily video gamers, hardcore gamers. A lot of them are, but not all of them. So we're on all the consoles, but we're also on things like Apple TV and Fire TV as well. And we've experimented with all sorts of other platforms. Some have caught on and some haven't. If you look at our first few party packs, we depicted our games as board game boxes. And there's a reason for that. We kind of see our games as more like tabletop party games than video games in a lot of ways. Because this is how most people play. They gather together with their friends and family and have some laughs. And it's great when people have a console hooked up to their TV, like these folks do. But there's plenty of people who like party games who will never do that. Hey, look, it's my parents. These two are never going to have a game console. I asked them if it was okay to make fun of them. They were like, oh, it's great. We're so proud of you, whatever. And they're probably not going to hook a laptop up to their TV with an HDMI cable. But they do have a smart TV. And they know how to use Netflix. And my family still gathers at their house for a lot of events all the time. And so how do we reach these people? How do we get to a point where we're gathering at their house and we can easily play Jackbox games the way our family might take out scattergories and yell at each other for a couple hours? Because that's what we do. So you can probably see where this is going. There are a lot of gaming consoles out there in the world, but there are even more smart TVs, more TVs really. But almost all the TVs sold today are smart TVs. If you like charts, here's a chart. Pretty sure it's somewhat accurate. And you can see why this sort of thing is exciting for Jackbox Games. The first 3 items on the list are all generally low-powered, either smart TVs with embedded technology or boxes or sticks that are hooked up to your TV. Gaming consoles are on there, huge platform for us, but there's tons of other opportunity here, and we want to pursue that. We're on some of these platforms like Fire TV already. You can get all of our games in the Fire TV App Store, and that's cool. but Fire TVs can be a little bit underpowered. Sorry, I know Amazon's sponsoring this. And so a lot of times we need to make low fidelity versions of the games to support these lower powered platforms, and frankly, no one really likes the idea of low fidelity. We certainly don't, and our QA team definitely doesn't. They don't like debugging these devices. So streaming our games allows us to reach millions of people with smart TVs, and so that's great. That's the opportunity we're pursuing here. Then there's this thing. One of the biggest issues we hear when talking to people about streaming games on TVs is pairing gamepads. There'll be great conversion, but only if you've already paired a gamepad. It's a huge barrier to entry. Lucky for Jackbox games, it's not one we need to worry about at all. Our games don't require gamepads. For those of you who are unfamiliar, our games generally all work the same way. You gather your friends, you put the game on the TV somehow, and everyone goes to the website jackbox.tv on their phones to connect to the game and play along. So the screen on the TV will show a 4-letter room code. You put the 4-letter room code in on jackbox.tv, and you're connected to the game. We feel like that's a really big reason for our success over the years, is how frictionless this process is. So if you have a remote control on your phone, you have everything you need. You don't need a gamepad. We have never required you to download an app to play our games. All you have to do is go to a website. Again, it's something my parents are good at. And because of this, in a lot of ways, smart TVs aren't just another platform for us. They might be the best experience to play our games. Even taking out the gamepad for a minute on a PS5 or something is a little clunky, just to navigate the menus and start the games. So we're excited about that. And if we get on smart TVs, we don't need to be buried in a gaming channel. We will be, and we're happy to be there with other games. But wouldn't it be amazing if we were right there when you turned your TV on? And what if our games weren't any different from a movie or TV show? It's really just another square filled with entertainment that you could click on. And with game streaming, we could deep link to launch directly into a specific game. And it's totally reasonable and doable. People do it all the time with movies and TV shows. You don't have to launch Netflix to find a game. You can usually just search on the device you're on for a specific show. And we think it'd be really cool if you could just search for Drawful 2 and find that and play it. And it will deep link into our app. So once we got thinking about streaming, we realized it was about more than smart TVs. And this is kind of a theme. The more we started thinking about this, we're like, oh, we could do this now. There's another place people gather to play our games, and that's online. Since the pandemic, a large percentage of our audience plays remotely with their friends. They play on Zoom, Google Meet, Twitch, and especially Discord. For many of our fans, Discord is the equivalent of a living room with your friends. It's where they meet up to hang out. And Discord obviously realizes this and has been building out activities that allow their games, allow groups of friends to interact with an experience together. There's some games, you can watch YouTube, and as soon as we saw this, we're like, oh, we should be a Discord activity. That would be great for us. But activities are web apps, and we can't easily integrate our games into that platform. Or I guess I should say we couldn't until Gameless Streams came out. And so now whether it's physical living rooms or virtual living rooms, we just want to be where people are hanging out with their friends and having fun. So tons of new platforms and that streaming opens up for us. All right, on to monetization. Maybe not the most exciting topic. Making monetization work for streaming, I think it remains the hardest egg to crack for us, and I think for a lot of people in the industry. And the reason is streaming is expensive. I put this slide up yesterday. And it kind of just covers our due diligence with Amazon. We needed to make sure it worked. And then after that, it was just, can we get this cheaper? Can we get this cheaper? How do we make this cheaper? Streaming costs for us, and I think a lot of other companies pursuing streaming, are really the difference between a successful product and an unsuccessful one. And a lot of big companies are pursuing this. We're not a big company. As a small company, we can't just absorb losses until the business works. We have to make it work right from the get-go. So I made some charts. I'll walk you through our monetization journey. A lot of this might seem totally obvious, maybe not, but I made the chart, so we're doing it. Here we go. So initially we thought we'd just start by charging a monthly subscription fee. There it is. User pays a flat rate, nice revenue, but then they start playing the game, and as soon as they start doing that, it costs us money. And maybe a user just plays twice a month or something. That's pretty good for us financially, decent profit. But other players might want to play a lot, and that could get us into trouble. And we don't want to be in this position where someone is losing us money because they like our games. And that's kind of the thing. We want people like Player 2 here. We want to encourage people to play our games as often as they want. We don't want to discourage them. We want our financial success to align with the success of people loving and playing our games a lot. And so we were faced with this reality about a year ago, and we kind of decided a streaming service wasn't going to work. So we put it aside and decided to focus on other things for a little while. And this is why streaming costs are critical to success of this product. And we're working closely with AWS to bring costs down and get to a situation like this where it's not such a big concern. I think we'll get there. But right now it is a concern, and so we need to try something else. Now, there is a way to get our revenue to scale with streaming costs so that every time someone plays, we're making a little bit of money. And that's ads. We started looking into advertising, and it actually seemed to fit quite well with our games. If you've played our games, they're built like game shows. They have natural round breaks, and frankly, it's where the streaming industry, not just games, but streaming TV and movies, has been going over the last few years anyway. Quick aside. In 2018, I don't know how many of you people got Party Pack 5, but we released a game called You Don't Know Jack Full Stream, and we kind of made fun of streaming services in it. And we made up a fake streaming company called Binge Pipe, which is the code name for this product that we use internally. Terrible name. We did have a brief discussion of, should we call it Binge Pipe? But it's just gross to even say. But one of the jokes we made in the announcement, we made this joke, what if you could watch ads and pay a subscription fee, which seemed ridiculous. But yeah, joke's on us, because that's what everyone started doing. Whether it's Netflix or Disney or like everyone else. So it became reasonable. And I'll say, we're a customer-centric company. We want our customers to have a great experience. We have no interest in moving away from premium pricing on consoles, but we're trying to find a way to make this work for us and for our fans on some of these platforms, and finances are a reality of that. So, we're trying all these things out and trying to get to a product that really makes sense for us and people who love playing our games and is still a really great experience. Gameless Streams has a nice data channel feature that allows us to send messages back and forth from the game to the web app, which is our streaming client. So the game's running on the server, sends a message to our web app that says, I've reached a good place to play an ad. This is a round break, so go play an ad now. And then we can show an ad, and then when the ad is done, we could send a message back to the game that says, the ad's all done, go ahead, unpause, and continue playing. And And being able to do this outside of the game itself is great because all we have to do is add these messages into the game. We don't have to build showing ads into our whole back catalog of games. And so that allows us to quickly swap out ad providers or do different things without having to rebuild our whole back catalog every time we want to make a change. Turns out the web is a lovely platform to build for. You can do all sorts of things. So our current thinking is to offer multiple subscription models. This will look a lot like some of those other screens I showed. Starting with a free ad-supported tier with 5 rotating games. This is, I think, pretty common for free tiers. And then we'd have a basic ad-supported subscription tier that gives access to our entire catalog. And maybe at some point we do something like a premium tier that is ad-free and has some bonus extras, which I'll talk about a little bit in a little bit. Okay, this wasn't on the list, but I just want to quickly touch on another benefit of a streaming service for Jackbox. I had cut this out because I thought it was going to be too long, but then I practiced this and it was way too short, so it's back. A few years ago, I gave a whole talk about how critical the party pack format was to our business, and that remains true. We're a big fan of the party packs and making 5 games. I won't go into that now. You can watch this. Amazing talk, probably one of the best GDC talks ever, I don't know. But there are some downsides to making a pack of games every year as well. If you look at our product catalog, the actual games kind of get buried in their respective packs. If you go to someone's house and have a fun time playing Split the Room and want to get it for yourself, you have to figure out what pack to buy. Quick, who can find Split the Room in there? It's somewhere. Where is it? It's in Party Pack 5. It's a TV set with a cat on it. So discoverability isn't great. And if you go to Steam and search for Split the Room, you kind of get some interesting results on there. Party Pack 5 does show up, but then you see Party Pack 5, and I don't know if it's totally clear, like, this is what I want. Yeah, there it is. It's on sale, by the way. You can get it right now. I think it's still on sale. So to address this, we've done other things. We've released the Jackbox Mega Picker last year. It's a Steam application that lets you manage your whole catalog and see all the games as individual games. So any games you own, you can see, you can search for. Split the Room shows up there. And you can launch directly from here. So we're trying to address this problem in other directions as well. But with the streaming service, our plan is to launch individual games, not packs. And we think that's going to be a lot easier. Here's a quick look at some of the other benefits of breaking out of the pack model. So you might not own your favorite game. Let's say you own Party Pack 4 and 5. These are all the games in Party Packs 4 and 5. It's a lot of games. You might not think you need any more. Maybe you don't. But maybe you love presenting games and Patently Stupid, and maybe you didn't know that there is a game called Talking Points that is really fun for people who like those type of games. And you might like it even more than Talking Points. Or maybe you've played all the content in Fibbage 3 and didn't realize that there's a Fibbage 4 out there. And so having our whole catalog available and visible gives us a lot of opportunities to promote different games and gives our players a lot of opportunity to find the games they want. No one that we talk to likes all the same games. And in fact, we often see reviewers will review a party pack and 5 different reviewers will say 5 different games are the best game in the pack. And that's great for us. You know, who knows? Everyone's different. So we talked about you might not own your favorite game. You might might not be aware of sequels. We could also build games with different engines if we break the games out of the packs. Right now, a pack is a single application, so every game in that pack needs to have the same engine, same tech stack, and that could be limiting to us. Games can have different production cycles. Right now on the pack model, We've released a pack of 5 games, usually in October, and all the games need to be done by them. And if we want to make a bigger game that takes 18 months instead of 8 months, we can't put it in a party pack unless we really figure things out, how to hire some more people and work out off-cycle. Updating individual games is easier than updating an entire pack. We don't update our games very often because it's complicated to update an entire pack, especially when it's on 12 platforms. And we could publish games from other developers. So the list kind of goes on. We could build different games that don't fit the party pack model. Right now, if a game doesn't fit into a party pack, we're not going to make it. So lots of fun stuff. All right, let's get to the fun. This is the real fun stuff. What are some new features we could do with this streaming service? Wasn't easy making an asterisk this big, but I managed to do it. These are ideas we're bouncing around, so I don't know if we'll do any of these, but they're things we're excited about. One is game trials. We recently released the Jackbox Survey Scramble, one of my favorite games we've made, by the way. And we made a demo so that people could check it out before they buy it. You can go get the demo and check it out. But it was problematic for a few reasons. First of all, making a demo is kind of a pain in the butt. It takes effort. It's not something you just get. And so that distracts from the production of the game itself. But also, when we released the demo initially, we left in some pieces of the game. We cut some corners, and some knuckleheads who like to fiddle around with the files in the file system were able to access parts of the game that we didn't want them to have access to. So we had to take those out and re-release the demo. And that could be a problem. I saw that Balatro gave a talk earlier today about how their original demo you could get access to the whole game if you went into a text file. With streaming, we could offer something like time-box versions of all our games. We don't have to do any work, really, except to build out this time-box feature. You could try it for 15 minutes or a half hour if you like it. You can immediately subscribe right in the moment, keep playing immediately, and this is a great way for us to get customers trying our games and hopefully loving them. This might be the idea I'm most excited about. Switching between games is kind of clunky right now. You have to quit the game you're playing, you possibly have to quit all the way out of the party pack, then launch a new pack, select the game you want, go to a new lobby, make a new game, and then you have a new room code, and everyone has to rejoin with that room code. And it would be great if we could streamline that whole process so that you could just pause the game and you get a menu that comes up. Our designer would hate me for showing this because he's like, this isn't done, I made that years ago. But you could pick a game, and everyone's just in that game in a matter of seconds. They're all in the same. You don't have to put in a new room code. It's all the same room code, and you could just start playing. Something I think would be fun, publishing games on a major platform can be a lot of work, but if we're controlling the platform, we can put whatever we want on it. So maybe for subscribers, when I talk about bonuses and extras, we have some unreleased prototypes that might be fun to put up there. We could do early access for games for certain people. And that might be a nice perk to get people to subscribe. Everybody Help Grandma is kind of a joke, but also a game that we made during a game jam. So a video stream is a video stream. So once we have our game in that format, it makes sense that we could route a single stream of video to multiple TVs or other devices. So even if you're not in the same room with someone, you could be looking at the same video stream and play with friends remotely. And our games don't require critical synchronization or latency or anything like that. All you really need to do is see the same screen and keep it more or less in sync, and you could have a really great experience with your friends. And if you take that and you add in voice chat, you got a party going. And so we think this might be a good platform, where you could interact with your friends without needing a third-party voice chat service. And then you kind of keep following this forward. It's like, well, if we're going to have user accounts and friend lists and voice chat, it really starts to feel like a very social, like we're bringing a lot of these social features for the games without needing anything external. We're bringing all of those social aspects right into this service itself. Things like friends lists and shareables and game feeds, things we kind of do now, but they're not, they aren't that successful. They don't have a lot of interaction, but we could, if they're more integrated into the whole experience, I think they could really be a lot more effective. So to sum up, this is just the beginning for us. We're really excited to get this little baby streaming service off the ground and see what it can become. We think there's a lot to explore. Some of these things we'll probably do. Some of these we probably won't. But the sky's the limit right now. So we just have to release the thing. And so stay tuned. Hopefully in the next couple months we'll be there. And we would love your feedback on what you like and what you don't like. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for coming here, and thanks to Amazon and GDC for having us. And I don't know if there are any questions, but if there are, I've been told to direct people to that microphone there.
Can you speak a little bit about getting on different app stores for different smart TV manufacturers?
I could speak a little bit about that. I could say that it's not as simple as I thought it would be. It is, each of them has their own process. They're not. Some of them have more open systems. Some of them don't. Some of them, and some of the things we're trying to do may require custom agreements. In fact, they do require custom agreements. So I think it's what I will say is that there's a lot of interest and excitement. I think pretty much across the board, all of these TV manufacturers are interested in gaming and want to find a way to bring gaming to their platforms. So the motivation's there, and I think streaming is the obvious solution. For years, people have been pursuing web games and things like that, and I don't think it's really gotten the traction that they've expected. So there's a lot of excitement about streaming. Yeah.
Hi there. Thanks very much for the talk. I was curious, did you try to build any in-house streaming solutions before going with GameLift? And if so, were there any challenges that you ran into?
Yes, we explored, not for that long. There were plenty of challenges.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's easy to get working, but then when you start to try to optimize it, it gets really difficult. And Chris from Amazon talked yesterday about this, about a lot of the things they did. They're like, there's latency in the TV, there's latency in the controller, there's latency obviously across the wire, and in the, where geographically the GPUs are, and we're not going to solve those problems. We make games. So we were more than happy to leave that to people who have that expertise. It's to get it working well. To get it working is not too hard. To get it working well is very, very difficult.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, was there any thought or any discussion about potentially bringing somebody's owned party packs or the party packs they've bought into the streaming service, either directly porting or indirectly through a link to whatever executable?
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. We'd love to make things easier for people. We get a question all the time, hey, I bought this on, PS5 and now I have an Xbox or I have a Switch. Can I get it on there? And, for platforms like that, we don't have any control about it. The only way we could do that is by buying you a copy of the game on another platform. And that's just not feasible for us. Where we can do it, we try to do it. We could have those conversations with first parties, but I'd say it's probably not that likely that we'll be able to pull off something like that. Something I find very interesting, and even though it's complicated, is the Ubisoft model, where you could subscribe and you could play on Luna, for example, and you could also play in their own launcher for the same subscription. And I like that idea that one subscription could give you access in different places. Talking to people about it, it's a lot of negotiations and complicated, financial agreements. So, Ubisoft can do stuff like that. Whether we can, I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.